ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you to our daily Bhagavad Gita reading session. Yesterday we had read verse 1.1. There we saw several things. This is starting with an inquiry from Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra means the person who holds the kingdom. Dhrita means hold. Rashtra means kingdom. So he has an excessive desire to hold the kingdom. And in the very first verse, he is inquiring from Sanjaya, what did they do? It seems it is a very redundant question, because his sons and sons of Pandu were assembled to fight, and then still he is making his inquiry. We see the intention behind the question, because Dhritarashtra was desirous of kingdom. He was doubtful of his son's victory because of the influence of this Dharmakhetra. It will favorably influence the Pandavas. So he was doubtful about his son's victory, and then he was fearful at the same time that if at all the Dharmakhetra will influence his sons to compromise, he knows the chances is pretty low because his sons are impious, but still he was fearful about that. Why fearful? Because of his excessive attachment. In no case he wanted to let it go. No, he wanted to hold the kingdom, the throne. And at the same time, if the religious place Dharmakhetra influence, let it influence Pandavas, let them renounce, let them avoid fighting. So these all are going in the head of Dhritarashtra. And at the same time, he was very partial. He was separating his sons from the sons of Pandu, Mamakaha, by addressing Mamakaha. Yes, so these are very important learning points we saw yesterday. And Dharmakhetra, that is the very, very essential key word. Because of this only, Dhritarashtra is having all such things going on in his head. Because Dharmakhetra might influence the things. Otherwise, if it would have been a very ordinary battlefield, then Dhritarashtra would not have any such doubts. He would not have made this inquiry. Let us go to verse number 2. Let me first recite the verse, make it familiar, then you can recite together with me. Sanjaya uvacha društva tu pandavanīkam vyudhaṃ duryodhanastada acāryam upasangamya raja vachanam abravīt. Yes, you all can recite along with me. Sanjaya uvacha društva tu pandavanīkam vyudhaṃ duryodhanastada acāryam upasangamya raja vachanam abravīt. Once more. Sanjaya uvacha
Sanjaya Uvacha
दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं
दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं
व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा
व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा
Duryodhanastada
आचार्यमुपसंगम्य
Acharya
आचार्यमुपसंगम्य
राजा वचनमब्रवीत्
राजा
Raja
वचनमब्रवीत्
One more time. Sanjaya uvacha
Sanjaya Uvacha
दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं
Drashtva tu
पाण्डवानीकं
Pandavanikam
व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा
व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा
आचार्यमुपसंगम्य
आचार्यमुपसंगम्य
राजा वचनमब्रवीत्
Raja
वचनमब्रवीत्
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Sanjaya uvacha. Yes. After hearing the inquiry from Dhritarashtra, now Sanjaya is saying, Sanjaya is replying back. Synonyms. Sanjaya uvacha. Sanjaya said. Drushtva, after seeing. Tu, but. Pandava anikam, the soldiers of the Pandavas. Vyudham, arranged in a military phalanx. Duryodhanaha, King Duryodhana. Tada, at that time. Acharyam, the teacher. Upasangamya, approaching. Raja, the king. Bachanam, words. Abravit, spoke. Translation. Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Sanjaya uvacha. Sanjaya said. What Sanjaya said? Drushtva vyudham, seeing the array, seeing the army arranged in a particular fashion. Whose army? Pandava Anikam, of the Pandavas military force. Tada Raja Duryodhana, at that time the king Duryodhana, Acharyam Upasangamya, went to his teacher Drona and spoke these words, Bachanam Abravit. Here you see Duryodhana is being addressed as Raja, but he was not the king. He was Yuvraj. King was Dhritarashtra only. So, but still here Sanjaya is addressing Duryodhana as Raja. Why? You see here Duryodhana is the head of the army. It's like the position of the king, but he out of the seriousness of the battle, out of the seriousness of the battle, he himself is going to his teacher. So this is a attitude of a politician, great politician. So he is showing that kind of nature, and of course he himself project as the future king. That's the reason while Sanjay is speaking, he is visualizing Duryodhana as kind of king. Yes, and from this verse 2 onwards till 2.11, we will see Duryodhana's fear and Duryodhana's diplomacy. And in each verse, we will see how great diplomacy Duryodhana is having. That's a he's very smart in diplomatic behavior. We will see in each verse. Okay. So in the very first verse, what is going in the mind of Dhritarashtra, Sanjay could understand. Okay. Sanjay could understand his motive. Why is he asking this question? Then immediately Sanjay is replying back to encourage the king. Oh, King Dhritarashtra, no such things are happening. Your sons are not going in compromising mood. They are not withdrawing themselves from the battle. Rather, your son Duryodhan is approaching to the spiritual, to the military teacher Dronacharya to discuss something about the war strategy. So war is going to happen. Don't be so anxious. Purport. Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. Yesterday we had seen how Dhritarashtra is not only blinded physically, he was also blinded with excessive material attachment towards his kingdom. He was very much blinded. And if someone is very much blinded towards excessive attachment, he will be also bereft of spiritual vision. This theme is very elaborately described throughout the Bhagavad Gita, how excessive attachment is a stumbling block in our path of spiritual progression. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with the Pandavas, who were all pious since birth. Pandavas are very virtuous. He knew that his sons were also very much blind towards what? Towards the matter of religion. Yesterday we had also seen how Duryodhan is also blinded. His father is physically blind, although Dhritarashtra means Duryodhan can see, but it's as if he is not able to see because he was blinded by his excessive greed and envy towards Pandavas. Because of this envy, he was so much consumed that even he is not able to perceive, or he is not able to recognize, he is not able to see the Supreme Lord himself when Krishna was present in front of him. So that's the reason this envy is very, very, it's a biggest enemy. And you will see this theme getting repeated in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is addressing Arjuna, you are not envious of me. Oh Arjuna, why I am speaking this knowledge to you, you are not envious to me. Of course, once he told in chapter 4 that you are my devotee, you are my friend, but later on also he is telling that, a very important quality in you, you are not envious. So that means who is not envious, he can accept Bhagavad Gita very well. Because Duryodhan was very envy towards Pandavas, that's the reason he was also envy towards Krishna. Because, devotees of Krishna carry Krishna himself in their heart. So to love God means to love God's children, but at the same time, to have a special affection towards the devotees. So that's the parameter of loving Krishna. If, we could develop an attachment or respect or more loving attitude towards the devotees of Krishna, then yes, then you can understand that you are progressing well. So yeah, Dhritarashtra knew his sons were blinded in the matter of religion, so they will never compromise. But still, he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, because that means he was having more confidence on the place of pilgrimage. That means Dharmakhetra. He knew very well. He knew very well that this Kurukshetra is a place of pilgrimage. He knew the importance of dharma. You see how important is it. Dhritarashtra is such a character. You have a lot of things to learn from this character. Even though Dhritarashtra is having all the knowledge throughout the Mahabharata. While he was talking to Vidura or Sanjaya or many such conversation, he knew very well what is right, what is wrong, but still he is helpless. He was helplessly acting. So when Vyasadeva, just before the war, went to Dhritarashtra and warned him, Dhritarashtra, don't you see the immediate loss you are going to incur just after the war? Please give up your attachment towards kingdom. Let the virtuous Pandava rule. Dhritarashtra is Yudhishthir is the most able hire. Please give the kingdom to them. But Dhritarashtra, and please avoid this war. Then Dhritarashtra replied, don't you see that this is the destiny? If war is destined, it is going to happen. Who am I to stop the war? If war is not supposed to happen, then who am I to cause the war? So he was having this kind of answer, we will discuss this character somewhere while we discuss Bhagavatam class. There are a lot of description about Dhritarashtra in those things. Okay, let us move. Still, he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, and Sanjaya could understand his motive in asking about the situation of the battlefield. What is his motive? Like he was desirous, doubtful, fearful, hopeful, like we discussed yesterday and in the beginning of today's class. So Sanjay could understand his motive. Then what Sanjay is replying? Sanjay wanted therefore to encourage the despondent king and thus assured him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of the holy place. Sanjay therefore informed the king that his son Duryodhan, after seeing the military force of the Pandavas, at once went to the commander-in-chief Dronacharya to inform him of the real position. To discuss something about the war strategy, he is going to the teacher Dronacharya, who is one of the commander-in-chief. Although Duryodhan is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician. You see, sometimes in the corporate also, the leaders, when the time is, when the project is running through a very bad phase, he sometimes went to all the team members to encourage and to discuss. But not only that, a true leader is always engaged with his colleagues. That's a true leader. No matter whether it's a bad time or good time. But here you see, Duryodhan is so selfishly motivated. He was having a very royal attitude and maintaining a lot of graveness. But here, because it is of his interest, he wanted to motivate also the warriors to fight very diligently. So that's the reason he is himself going to Dronacharya. Otherwise, he would have called, you know. He was that kind of nature. So that's the reason he is quite fit to be politician. Politician means, you know, who is a politician? Politician means who can throw his original, who can cover up his original nature and behave like somebody else. Why? Because of the selfish motive, because of the selfish interest. But Duryodhan's diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas. Actually speaking, Duryodhan, after seeing the massive military arrangements of the Pandava, he was fearful. He was terrified. Just to hide his fear, he is going to Dronacharya. Generally, you know, when we are fearful, but we don't want to show, then, you know, we engage ourselves in some activities, you know, so that, you know, we can hide the fear. So just to hide the fear, he is going to Dronacharya to discuss something about the war strategy. Let's go to next verse. 1.3. Pashyetang Panduputranam Acharya Mahating Chamum Pyudhang Drupada Putrena Tava Sisyena Dhimata. You all can recite along with me. Pashyetang Panduputranam Acharya Mahating Chamum Vyudhang Drupada Putrena Tava Sisyena Dhimata. Pasyetang Panduputranam Acharya Mahating Chamum Vyudhang Drupada Putrena Tava Sisyena Dhimata. Last more. Pasyetang Panduputranam Acharya Mahating Chamum Vyudhang Drupada Putrena Tava Sisyena Dhimata. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Synonyms. Pashya, behold, see. Etam, this. Panduputranam, of the sons of Pandu. Acharya, O teacher. Mahatim, great. Chamum, military force. Vyudham, arranged. Drupada Putrena, by the sons of Drupada. Taba, your Sisyana, disciple. Dhimata, very intelligent. Translation. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Then Sanjay is telling, Sanjay is telling that Dhritarashtra went to Dronacharya. Duryodhan went to Dronacharya. So what Duryodhan is telling? Duryodhan is telling, Acharya, oh my dear teacher, Pasya etam mahatim chamu. Just see this great army of Pandavas, Panduputranam, of the sons of Pandu. Vyudham, arranged for battle. Tava dhimata sishyana. Who has arranged this build-up? By your intelligent disciple. By your intelligent disciple only, this great army of Pandavas are arranged. You just see. Who is that great intelligent disciple? He is none other than the son of Drupada, Drupada Putrena. He is not telling Drushtadumna. Actually, the name of Drupada's putra is Drushtadumna. But he is telling Drupada Putrena, just to incite anger in Dronacharya. Because Drupada was a childhood friend to Dronacharya. And later, they both were enemies to each other, inimical to each other. They became enemy. Drupada and Dronacharya. Just to incite anger in him, he is addressing Drushtadumna as Drupada Putrana. And you see here, Duryodhana has such a audacity to find fault on Dronacharya. Because Dronacharya is his teacher. And he is coming to Dronacharya, and very first instant, he is finding fault in him. Oh, you see, your intelligent disciple has arranged Pandava's army in the opposite side just to fight against you. Why did you impart military knowledge to him? So he is pointing fault in Dronacharya. Why? Because Dronacharya knew perfectly well that Drupada, out of taking revenge from Dronacharya, has conducted a fire sacrifice, and from that fire sacrifice, Drushtadumna emerged. And Drushtadumna's whole sole purpose is to kill Dronacharya. But when this Dronacharya knew very well, but when Drushtadumna approached Dronacharya and surrendered to him to learn military and archery and all such military arts, being a liberal Brahmana, Dronacharya has taught him. Because that was the quality of Brahmanas at that point in time. Brahmanas were not so envious, not having any enmity towards anyone. They are very liberal. So that's the reason here Duryodhana is pointing, oh my dear teacher, because of your liberal nature, you had taught Drushtadumna. But now you see, he has arranged such a great military arrangements on the side of the Pandava to give a strong fight with us. But please give up your leniency. Because Duryodhana knew very well that Drona has some special affection towards the Pandavas, especially Arjuna. But at the same time, Duryodhana is warning his teacher. Oh, my dear teacher, don't be so lenient now. Oh, you had been lenient in past, but that's okay. Still okay. But now don't be so lenient. If you will be lenient, then we will be defeated. Please give up this leniency and fight with all determination. He is also instructing. He's such a audacious fellow. Let us go. Duryodhana, a great diplomat, wanted to point out the defects of Dronacharya, the great Brahmana commander-in-chief. Dronacharya had some political quarrel with King Drupada, the father of Draupadi, who was Arjuna's wife. As a result of this quarrel, Drupada performed a great sacrifice by which he received the benediction of having a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. Dronacharya knew this perfectly well, and yet as a liberal Brahmana, he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets when the son of Drupada Drishtadyumna was entrusted to him for military education. Now, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Drishtadyumna took the side of the Pandavas, and it was he who arranged for their military phalanx after having learned the art from Dronacharya. Duryodhan pointed out this mistake of Dronacharya's so that he might be alert and uncompromising in the fighting. Duryodhan pointed out this mistake of Dronacharya's so that he might be alert and uncompromising in the fighting. By this, he wanted to point out also that he should not be similarly lenient in the battle against the Pandavas, who were also Dronacharya's affectionate students. Arjuna especially was his most affectionate and brilliant student. Duryodhan also warned that such leniency in the fight would lead to defeat. Okay, thank you all very much for your enthusiastic hearing. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Time